Hello, it's a pleasure to be joining you here today, albeit virtual. My name is Gary Drapek, and I'm President and CEO of the United Way of Lackawanna and Wayne counties. 2 decades ago, our United Way made a firm commitment to join with local educators in helping to provide support services for teachers, families, and students in our region. This effort has resulted in ongoing and frequent dialogue and partnership with district superintendents, administrators, teachers, parents, and others on how we as a community and how we as a United Way can help provide support services to ensure the best education that our children can receive. Most recently, during one of our conversations and meetings with school superintendents in our region, the issue of students acting out and disrupting class came to the forefront of our talks. A key piece to this puzzle was a lack of available and affordable training for teachers on how to diffuse and handle these difficult situations. Our United Way, in partnership with the participating superintendents, agreed to help by tapping into our resources, our network of providers, friends, and others interested in lending a helping hand. The result was the development of a pilot program in 3 Lackawanna County school districts: Old Forge, Dunmore, and Valley View, with Penn State Scranton taking the lead role in developing the curriculum and the training options. What you're about to see is the initial result of this partnership and our ongoing plans as we move into the future. My heartfelt thanks goes out to the participating districts, especially the superintendents who were involved in this program and the teachers for their foresight and their commitment, as well as our very good friends at Penn State Scranton. And now I'd like to introduce a very good friend of our United Ways, John Marichak, who is the superintendent of the Dunmore School District, who will tell you a little bit more of our plans as we move forward. Thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Hello, my name is John Marichak, and I'm the superintendent of the Dunmore School District. We are one of the local school districts that are participating in the teachers' behavioral health training. At this point, I'm going to convert to share screen, and we're going to go through a presentation of the superintendent's perspective for this entire experience. Again, John Marichak, Dunmore School District, and this is the superintendent's perspective. I'm going to begin as a pretty good spot, the origins of this movement. We would be active participants in periodic meetings hosted by the United Way. There would be local school districts, children and youth, faculty from local universities, and other health and service providers for children present. And through the years, in many different school districts for me, we would be working on things such as a literacy initiative, children's health needs, assisting underprivileged families, and so on. So at one of these meetings, in a very innocent, organic way, with the effort and the mission of the United Way always to reach out and do great work and help, the question was posed to us from a educational services perspective. As innocent as it looks, what do you need? And the United Way posed that question, and myself and my colleague Aaron Keating from the Old Forge School District basically almost in a simultaneous manner responded, we are experiencing behaviors in our children in our lowest grades that we've never seen before. The United Way, as always, says, well, let's help. What could we do for you? And we said, we need to provide a support system for our teachers to combat this problem. This issue is doubly bad because with the current traditional teacher programs at our colleges and universities, it really wasn't something that our teachers were trained in, and they felt almost helpless in this endeavor. Also, with a little bit of experience, we found that the available professional developments really weren't meeting the needs that the teachers were experiencing. So we combined and pooled some of our local resources. Once again, the key player, or one of the key players, was the United Way doing the great work that they do. PSU Scranton jumped right in as a facilitator. The Dunmore School District, the Old Forge School District, and the Valley View School District said, we're very interested. We think this is something that with our dynamic and the way that we are built, we could jump in on the ground level and help out. And really, we wanted some meaningful, and this is a big word from a superintendent's perspective, affordable professional development. We surveyed our staffs and we lived it ourselves. We know because we sat in and we've hosted full staff in the auditorium type of professional development. On the first few days, it simply doesn't work. It's a high level of frustration for our staffs, and they don't get anything out of it. Furthermore, again, traditional professional development is very expensive. Furthermore, in our school districts nowadays, it's not really practical for us to be able to send our people out en masse because we can't find substitutes. So that's another issue of the driving force behind why we wanted to develop something. This is a true grassroots organic movement. I know that word, those words are used an awful lot in today's educational atmosphere, but our colleagues were going to be active participants in developing and creating tools for their own use. We feel, and it's been my experience, that teachers learn best from other teachers. They feel comfortable. In our instance, we have a quote unquote pod situation where all grade level teachers could knock on the door of their person next door, almost in a lab experiment type of a situation, and really get things done. There was also a tremendous geographical convenience in the way this fell together. PSU Scranton is less than a mile from our campus, and it's not very much further from the other two participating schools. PSU did a great job in having a structure in place. They have the space, they have outstanding IT support, and I really can't express how great the faculty has been to be willing partners to help our teachers and thus help children. And again, I don't know if I'm sounding like a broken record, but the fact remains true that this is tremendously cost effective from the district's perspective. At this point, I want to thank everyone. I believe that the explanation of how the actual process is going to work will be laid out, but huge thank you again to the United Way, PSU Scranton, and I want to thank our teachers for jumping in and getting involved with ways to help help students. And that goes for the Old Forge teachers and the Valley View teachers as well. Let's continue to capitalize on our momentum and push ahead to help children. Thank you.
Greetings. My name is Marwan Wafa, Chancellor of Penn State Scranton. I'm here to say a few words about the Children's Behavioral Health Team Project. Teachers play a significant role in preparing the future generation. Therefore, investing in continued learning and training that enables teachers overcome challenges in the classroom is critical for their success in fulfilling their mission. One challenging issue for teachers is dealing with disruption caused by students with behavioral issues. The pilot training program that was developed in collaboration between educators and community partners, and which was launched in February 2020, is a strong evidence for the care that our community have for supporting teachers in order to help all children learn and succeed. There were 9 teachers from 3 school districts that completed the training. Pre and post tests were given to each of the participants to measure program effectiveness. The test scores did show improvement. The full program will be launched in spring next year with the goal of inviting teachers from all school districts in our region. Now, it is my privilege to recognize the key players who worked on the design and implementation of this program. The team that worked on the program design and implementation are as follows. Dr. Janet Melnick, past program coordinator. She is the program coordinator of the Human Development Family Studies. The abbreviation is HDFS at Penn State Scranton. Dr. Melissa Labuda is the current pilot program coordinator. She is a professor at Penn State Scranton in the HDFS program. Dr. Laura Nathans is a professor of HDFS at Penn State Scranton. Jackie Mose is an adjunct professor in the HDFS program at Penn State Scranton, and she is a medical social worker at Wayne Memorial Hospital. Dr. Karen Rich, professor at Marywood University. Shelley Egan, Old Forge Elementary principal. The school district officials who were part of this initiative are Maria Kishel, Valley View School District Principal, Dr. Michael Bokela, Valley View School District Superintendent, Dr. Aaron Keating, Old Forge School District Superintendent, John Marichuk, Dunmore School District Superintendent. There were two community partners who also were part of this initiative. From Lackawanna County, Mrs. Lori Schaefer's Program Director in the Office of Social Services, Research and Development. The second community partner has been the United Way of Lackawanna and Wayne counties, represented by Mrs. Peg Kopko, Vice President of Community Impact, and Mr. Gary Drapek, the Chief Executive Officer. This project is the product of the collaboration of community organizations and higher educational institutions. This project could not have happened without the funding support of United Way of Lackawanna and Wayne counties. We are so thankful for all the team members and for the funding support of United Way. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shelley Egan, and as we continue learning about the teacher's behavioral training, I am going to speak with you about the overall curriculum design. But first, the training particulars. Our pilot program focused on 3 school districts within the county: Old Forge School District, Dunmore, and Valley View School District. There were 3 teachers selected from each district with a focus on the primary level. So there were a total of 9 participating teachers. There are 5 modules, either half-day and or full-day sessions. The trainings would be held over 4 days. As a response to COVID, we were only able to complete 2 days in person and finish the remaining 2 days via Zoom. As for curriculum design, we tried to focus on current behaviors and issues that are seen in a school environment on a daily basis. It was important that we provided a training that was not just informational, but also practical. What could the teachers take back to their classroom and utilize immediately? It was also important that we focused our instruction on proactive strategies as well as responsive strategies. So our end result was 5 modules that were either half-day or full-day sessions. Module 1 was mental health, signs and symptoms of common disorders. Module 2 focused on trauma-informed care within the classroom. Module 3, which encompassed 2 days, was geared towards effective classroom management with a focus on proactive and responsive strategies. The 4th module was titled Building Community. Then we ended the training with a panel discussion. Our instructors came from a wide variety of backgrounds, but had close connections with the original organizers of this endeavor. The instructors volunteered their time to prepare and implement the developed curriculum. They included Dr. Melissa Labuda, Assistant Teaching Professor for Human Development and Family Studies at Pennsylvania State University's Scranton campus, Dr. Laura Nathans, Assistant Professor, Human Development and Family Studies, Jackie Most, Clinical Director, Youth Advocate Program Community-Based Services in Peckville, Dr. Karen Rich, Associate Professor, School of Social Work, Marywood University, and myself. In addition to being the principal at Old Forge Elementary School, I am also a trainer for restorative practices. So let's take a look at each of the modules. Module 1, Mental Health, Signs and Symptoms of Common Disorders. This module was so important. As educators, we find ourselves standing in front of a class of students with an ever-increasing list of developmental, learning, or behavioral disabilities, anxiety, OCD, ODD, depression, PTSD, bipolar, and so on. Asking ourselves, how do I help and support this child? Or what is happening with this child? What do I, as their teacher, need to do? So we needed to start off with a module that would provide them a strong informational foundation and understanding of common disorders. The goals of this module are to understand how our values influence our work with children, the role stigma plays in working with children with a mental illness, to understand the magnitude of statistics of mental illnesses in children, and the basic symptoms of some common childhood mental illnesses. Module 2 moved into trauma-informed care within the schools, looking at what is trauma and how it can manifest in children's difficult behaviors, identifying the interpersonal triggers in schools, reasons for school refusal, and why schools matter. Specifics include trauma-informed approaches such as check-ins, classroom yoga, talking circles, respect for diversity, clear lines of authority, prevention education, collaboration with other agencies, de-escalation strategies, traumatic stress debriefing, and appreciation ceremonies. Module 3, we focused on proactive as well as responsive strategies to use in the classroom. In Module 3, I conducted a training for participants in restorative practices and using circles effectively. Training in restorative practices introduces the participants to an understanding of the fundamental theory behind restorative practices and focuses on a continuum of practices to utilize with students, staff, and parents in a classroom and school environment. This training explores the fundamental principles, philosophy, theories, practices, models, and skills of restorative practices. There is practical application of holding proactive and responsive circles that build social capital and respond to and repair harm that occurs within a community environment. Additionally, we continued our focus on effective classroom management with the second half of Module 3. Here, participants were introduced to the 7 phases of the de-escalation cycle, the relationship between trauma-informed strategies and de-escalation, as well as the phases of de-escalation and trauma and how to focus on catching students' good behavior. The final modules, modules 4 and 5, were each half-day session. Module 4, Building Community, looks at defining a community, what is the purpose of a community, and how to build a strong and successful community. Moving into Module 5, we held a panel discussion. Here, all of the instructors were present with the participants. This was the opportunity for the participants to ask any questions they might have concerning the covered topics, or perhaps present a real-time scenario that they needed help and support with. All in all, we felt that the 5 modules covered pertinent information that was and is vital to current educators. As we move forward, Dr. Melissa Labuda will now speak to you about the training outcomes.
Hello, my name is Dr. Melissa Labuda, Assistant Teaching Professor, Penn State Scranton, Human Development Family Studies Department. I'm here to talk to you today about the outcomes of the teacher's behavioral training. Teachers were given a 20-question pretest covering all 5 presentation topics prior to the first speaker presentations in February 2020. Overall average on the pretest was 80%. At post-test, Dr. Labuda, Dr. Rich, Dr. Nathans, and Ms. Mose created a 10-question knowledge assessment that covered their module topic. Ms. Egan created a 5-question knowledge assessment of material covered during her presentation. These assessments were administered immediately following the speaker presentations. As you can see, the means at post-test for me, Dr. Labuda, 100%, Dr. Rich, 85.6%, Ms. Egan, 94.23%, Dr. Nathans, 84.3%, and Ms. Mose, 70%, with the average across all 5 of the modules being an 86.83 for post-test assessments. As this was a pilot program, there will be a follow-up survey given to participants of the training to see if they continued to use what they learned in the training long-term. Additionally, plans are already being made to have this training again spring 2022. Thank you.
For the teachers' behavioral training, I think it would be incredibly beneficial for all teachers to have this type of training, as many may not have gotten any experience with children who are in need of some mental health and behavioral support. And I feel that the training was extremely comprehensive on how to begin to assist those children in the gen ed classroom.
I really enjoy the teacher's behavioral training. It helped me be more proactive than reactive with my classroom management. It also was just something I could take right back to my students and use in the classroom. My favorite part was the restorative practice piece, where it helped the students have a voice and helped the teachers understand what was going on with those students to get to the root of problems.
Hi, my name is Dana Cordaro, and I'm a second grade teacher at the Delmar Elementary Center. I took the course on restorative practices. I think this class is a fantastic class for our educators. Right now in the world that we're living in, our children are dealing with a lot. The world right now is crazy. There's a lot going on. So with this class, we're encouraging positivity, okay? We want to encourage the positives and not focus on those negatives. We want to know what's happening and what's causing some of the behaviors that we're seeing. So this class was very beneficial. It does bring up the questions that we should be asking instead of the negative consequences, okay? So I think this was a great class. It does open your eyes to a lot of what's happening and what's going on behind closed doors. So remember, we want to encourage the positives, and this class will teach you how to do that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kristen Tefera. I am a first grade teacher at Delmar Elementary Center. I cannot say enough positive things about the behavioral training that we took over last year. It taught me so much about the kind of dynamics in my classroom. A lot of children that we see, especially nowadays, are dealing with some mental health issues. We learned about restorative practices, which was one of the best things that I took away from this course. It's something that I implement daily and has really made a difference, especially with those struggling students. I think the teachers did an amazing job explaining everything to us in detail so that we could use it in all of our day-to-day practices.